Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pat, the rising VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be drawing a couple of comics that I've had on my mind. The main theme of these is like around wanted posters, because I had the idea that because two of the characters that I have are... The word outlaw comes to mind. I feel like the word outlaw has like specific implications though. I feel like outlaw implies that that's like how they make a living or that's their way of life. I think it's more like they want to do certain things, but it's just that those things happen to involve getting criminal charges on them. So I thought it'd be funny to react to like their own wanted posters. So let's just it's only two comics that I really have in mind. I'm gonna need to work out some of the composition, but the punchline is basically there. I think maybe three panels at most for one of them, and three panels should be fine for both of them, actually. You know what? I do think three panels is sufficient. I keep forgetting. It's been ages since I've done comic stuff on Clip Studio Paint, but I do remember that there is a very easy way to do this, or to set up the panels themselves. I think you can go to Layer, and then go to New Layer Folder, maybe? Was that it? No. You go to Layer, New Layer, and I think from there you can make the frame border folder. Yeah. Here we go. That's a nice cut, but that's not what I wanted to do. Where is it? Ah, there we go. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna shrink this down a little bit and then center it and put it in the middle just so it's nice and snug. Actually, I suppose we could probably broaden it a little bit, huh? Just so that there's not so much headroom on the left and right here. I think that would be for the best. Okay, and we can just duplicate this once because we're gonna make them both the same size. Or at least they should be the same size by the end of it. Okay. First up. Okay, and what I'm thinking is that maybe we go for like a more dynamic composition on this one. And we have so we have them moving from right to left, but the comic is right from left to right. That might look a little bit confusing, but I think it feels like it can be done. We'll just stuff those into their own folder. I may actually just really quickly sketch out the action that I'm picturing here. I feel like that's probably a good idea. Okay, so we're gonna have somebody at the forefront here. And maybe another person right around here. And a third person over here, but I need to make it in such a way that it's very clear that it's all one picture. Yeah, I think the first one is definitely walking with a purpose in life. The second one is also walking almost more like marching, really. It's gonna be a little bit taller than that, too. And then the last one's gonna be looking at a poster over here. And I think from here it's gonna switch to this perspective. Or maybe she's actually reaching out for it on this second panel. Or maybe she's even holding it in her hand. I don't know. Maybe she has a copy of it. There's a copy of it available on the wall. That could also work. God, that would be really funny. You know how there are those advertisements that you see sometimes in the city? They're not so frequent now. I don't know why, but they used to be like you used to be able to cut out little strips from the bottom there and tear them out, and they had like advertisements for different services and phone numbers on here. Really funny to imagine like a wanted poster like that. Come and hunt me down. Big money involved. God. That's like very Yujiro Hanma to do. I feel like that's definitely like what somebody who wants to pick a fight but is too bored to look for it themselves would do. Or actually, wait. Wait. Oh, wait, I think I got it. Okay, so same composition as before, but instead of the poster being on the back wall here, it's gonna be like from the viewer's point of view, from the reader's point of view, that she's looking at the poster. And then the poster's gonna be like maybe more center stage, or I don't know actually. Maybe we can have. Okay, the poster's definitely gonna need to be on the bigger side. No, I don't think that works. This is an interesting challenge, though. I like it. Ooh, wait. Okay, so the one up here is like throwing something back, and that can be what carries between panels, and it hits the person who's supposed to be who's supposed to be in the second panel in the face. Yep. Okay. I think that's a good way to set it up. What I could do actually. Wait, hang on. Come to think of it. Here's what let's do. We'll put this one a little bit further in. Push this one a little bit further out. And then maybe okay, yeah. Okay. I think I've got it. Okay. I think I've absolutely got it now. So adding a fourth panel. So paper hits her on the face. Yep. That's all well, good, and in order. Big fan of that. Okay. And then she's gonna look down. Maybe she can like unpeel it from her face. I don't know what I need to have her reading it by this panel, but I kind of want to hold her face off until the very last one. Unless okay. New idea. Go back to the original 3-panel arrangement. Get rid of the old version of it and keep the new version. And instead she will pull it off her face on this last panel. I feel like I love holding sheets of paper until it comes time to draw it. Hi, Liv, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. I love the hand feel and the appearance of holding onto a sheet of paper. I never ever remember what it looks like doing it. How have you been, Leo? How's your night going? Or afternoon, I suppose. Doing good? Just chilling before I go out to the friends? Oh, lovely! I hope you have a great time. Get to try a shawarma today? Hell yeah. Okay, change of plans to the change of plans. I do think I actually want to split this up into 4 panels again. Because I think having one panel focused on the actual contents of the wanted poster is going to be valuable. Hope so. I have a suspicion someone's announcing that they're getting married? Oh, wonderful! Oh, that's always such a happy time. Love is in the air. You know what? I feel like this is gonna sound like a very strange thing to say. I don't feel like marriage announcements usually happen in January, so that's really exciting for them. They're going against the grain. I feel like I don't know when people generally propose. I don't think there's like a specific season for it. You know, you hear about June brides, but there's no like specific month when people propose. They just kind of go for it. Wouldn't it be like spring or summer? I feel like spring would be the most auspicious time because, or I don't know, spring wedding though. So here's my idea. Yeah, winter for Christmas, right? So if we're going by like the representation of different seasons, right? Obviously we know June bride, very the summertime, lots of brightness, lots of daylight, very bright. Very I feel like that has a lot of good vibes for a wedding. But spring wedding is also kind of a cool one because then it's like, you know, the birth of new life, the birth of a new union. It kind of coincides. It rhymes. It's like poetry. So I guess the earliest season would, unless you have like a very, unless you're moving really really fast, which you know isn't always a bad thing. Just something that I don't think is for most people. You know, I feel like you would probably have to propose at least in the winter time or maybe even the previous fall. So yeah, I feel like spring wedding would be fine. I feel like summer wedding would be fine. Spring proposal or winter proposal is kind of exciting. I guess we are still in winter though. Fucking out of my mind thinking to call the weather as it is springtime. I don't know. The seasons are a fickle thing. There's really no wrong time to do anything except agriculture. Okay, big asterisk. There's no wrong time to start living your life, but you should probably wait until a reasonable season to partake in some agriculture. It's so cold and dark right now. I just keep sleeping like a damn bear. I feel that. I do. This Monday when I finished up my work, I crashed on the couch for 2 hours. And It was a bizarre sensation because at that point I was like, I don't give a damn what happens to my sleep schedule. It felt very freeing in a strange way. No floor this time? I What do you mean no floor this time? I mean, I do occasionally partake in floor time after work. I've been doing that less though. I think it's because my couch used to be so horribly uncomfortable. I just defaulted to the floor. And I think that now that I've improved my couch's like cushioness, I don't cushion quotient? I'm not sure. But yeah, now that I've improved my couch's texture, bum feel, I guess would be the nope, not going there. Now that I've improved my couch's plushness, I feel like I crash on that more often. You know, assuming I have it clear. Surrounding your sleep schedule feels so good for the first week, and then you get transported directly to the final layer of hell. True. God, I remember thinking I was such hot shit. Picture this, right? 2021. I was still in university at the time. I realized that my first class of the day, on any given day, started at 1 p.m. All right? Like, I had no classes in my last semester of university that were later, that started earlier than 1 p.m. So you know what my dumbass did in the middle of the pandemic? I started going to bed at 5 a.m. I would wake up at noon, I would go to class, and I would get my shit done for the day, stay up throughout the night, and then go to bed at 5 a.m. I'm convinced I never fully recovered from that. I used to wake up at like 6 a.m. during high school, or 5 a.m. sometimes, just doing random stuff and making myself breakfast while I was waiting to go to school. Because I just liked living like that. And now I feel like if I tried to go to wake up at 5 a.m. consistently, I would need to like arrest my entire sense of self, basically. It's a very strange sensation. I don't know. It makes me feel diminished in a way. Like, I used to be very powerful and, you know, get a normal amount of sleep. Oh, I don't think I got a normal amount of sleep. I think I had like a really good streak, 5-year, 10-year maybe streak as an early bird, and then I completely fucked it, like all the way up. I'd like to go back to being an early riser, if I'm being fully honest. I feel like I miss having time for myself in the mornings. You know, before I have to, like, get my shit together and go to work. Okay, I'm going to make a cut here. Okay, so for this one, what I'm thinking is 2 people sitting down. Oh, to exist during a time that doesn't. For real. Just interviewed for a job that would have me waking up before 7 a.m. and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want that sort of schedule so bad. It feels wholesome for you, right? Like I feel like it's almost like a horseshoe effect, right? Where like initially, like you're starting around here at around like age, I don't know, 9 or 10. You know, you're like, okay, you're not really in charge of your own life at that point. But because your parents want you to grow up healthy, or at least, you know, they want to go to bed at a reasonable hour as well. They put you to bed at like 9, 10 p.m. If you're lucky, and it's not a school night, sometimes midnight. But generally, you have a pretty good, decent, regulated sleeping schedule because your family wants you to at least get enough sleep. Then around here, I'm gonna say this is the ages from around like 16 to I'm gonna say like 22. You're kind of at your peak of energy. You know, your puberty's winding down. You have more energy again. Your body's not like constantly throwing everything it has towards growing. So you're kind of like getting back into it, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, I do deserve more time awake and active. You know what? I can go to bed at like midnight, 1 a.m., wake up the next day to go to school or university at like 7, and I can do that. I can do whatever I want. I have unlimited power. And then comes like a dip around here where you've been living that way for a couple years now, or like 5-ish years, let's say, of like having unlimited power over your own sleeping habits, and you come to realize you're getting tired. You're feeling tired again. It's a very bizarre sort of tiredness. It's not the same one that you feel after a long day's work. It's something much more sinister. It's sleep deprivation. And a lot of people can be familiar with sleep deprivation up to this point. You have things like insomnia, issues sleeping, issues with your circadian rhythm. You might have known sleep deprivation before this, or hopefully you won't have. Ideally you won't have known what that's like. But at some point you reach a sort of state where you're constantly tired. And you get the sneaking suspicion it's because you haven't slept enough. And then over here, I'm going to say like it's everything after 25 or at least after 24, because that's kind of where it was for me, where you kind of just start craving having a better sleeping schedule, not just because you're tired all the time, but you see the benefits to it. You have maybe a more stable routine, a more stable job. You want more time to yourself in the morning, and you recognize that, having a solid blocked off 8 hours of sleep is absolutely vital for the long run. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Well, actually, I was around there around this time, but it's a much more urgent issue, but I have not been able to build up the habits to fix it myself. Sleeping whenever in the winter when the sun is barely out straight up gives you deficiencies like you need to see the sun. I think that's what caused me so much anguish last year during the wintertime, because I feel like during the same time last winter, I was working from home every day, and maybe I would leave the house a few times a week to go get food or groceries or whatever. And let me tell you, juggling that with having like an assignment during that time that was very important to me, I was in that fucking Silent Hill 2 corridor for an entire 4 months. It was brutal. Okay, the composition for this panel. I think one person is sitting down, or maybe handing another person a piece of the wanted poster. Okay. But yeah. I don't know, Zed. How have you been coping with the wintertime? I feel like this winter has been surprisingly mild, all things considered. At least mine has. I know for some people it's been real bad. Okay. Oh yeah. Also, I got to eat a pomegranate. I will say one of the nice things about wintertime is that I can have ready access to pomegranates again. And I got myself a pomegranate from the supermarket the other day, and let me tell you, I found them much more tedious to eat, but I still deeply enjoyed it. Been coping better with this winter than most, since instead of being depressed, I get to be mad about current events in the U.S. Midwest. That is completely understandable. You know what? Sometimes anger can be a driving force. I hope you get some time for yourself though soon, because I feel like it's good to be angry and acknowledge the anger, but I do think that feeling angry all the time is also kind of it can take its toll on you. So yeah, I hope things turn around for you soon. Okay, and maybe around here. I do wonder what... Okay, so maybe up close like this would be the funniest. I love... You know what? When I was a Philistine and uninitiated in the arts, I used to think that the Umineko paw hand was insufficient as a representation of the human hand. But, well, no, it's not the Umineko paw hand. It's technically the Higurashi paw hand. But now that I've like gotten better at drawing, it is really nice to just like have a mitt that you can just clamp over any surface in the vague shape of a hand, and later on your brain will be able to fill in the gaps. Watch out, though. Like, it works, but watch out. Okay. There we go. Okay, wait. Now I'm trying to visualize how you would quickly turn around a piece of paper when you're holding it to your face like that. Okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. The paper that I'm holding is very small and also not the correct size. Hang on, maybe... I have a notebook around here. So... Okay, yeah, that'll work. Okay, so right hand up. Bottom hand down. Left hand at the bottom. There we go. Okay, so they're gonna be holding the paper out like this. And then this is gonna... The seat is gonna end around here, or the couch, I guess. And then back here, like in the background, we're gonna have a guy walking in. And I think I'm gonna make him do like the John Lennon walk. Have you? Are all you familiar with the concept? The funny John Lennon silly walk. Let me pull up a picture of it if you haven't seen it. This thing. I don't remember the exact context for this, but I do think it is a very powerful kind of gait that he's got. I don't know. I like how much it looks like he's just like clonking around. Okay, so the body is kind of tilted to the right. I mean, I guess that depends on your perspective, but yeah, definitely like this. Just kind of ambling around. I feel like amble is a very good word for what this is. Okay, and then we can have another couch back here. Okay. Let's quickly add the speech bubbles for each of these. And then we can move on to the part where we actually draw the things. Or actually, okay, maybe I need to shrink these guys back down. I may need to shrink her down just a tiny bit. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna make this speech bubble slightly smaller, but I'm gonna have it cross over the panels. Also, we're not gonna use Arial regular, we're gonna use Pacific regular, which I think... Was it called Pacific regular? It's been a long time since I've actually used this font for anything. Yes, it is. Okay. Okay, we need to put this down here, and then we also need to make all of these central aligned. Okay, what I also need to do is I need to make that the default setting. Okay, we're gonna bold and italicize that one too, and then we're just gonna make everything just a tiny bit bigger. Okay. We're gonna make this one bigger as well. I mean, how big is this one, though? Okay, this is 11 point. This is 12 points, so we can make this one just one more bigger and it'll match. And then we can also bump this up to 12. Perfect. Now we can do something similar for this one. Okay, speech bubble. I'm gonna make this one 11 points too, or 12 point actually. Okay, and then we'll bold and italicize this part. Did I just make a speech bubble? Oh my god, look at that! It's the world's tiniest little speech bubble. That's adorable. It's gotta go, though. Alright, let's... Okay, I might need to scale down the size of the font on this one. So maybe we can make it 11? Or actually maybe 10. No. Or maybe 10, actually. Okay, and then maybe instead of saying taking a walk, maybe I can make it can be downstairs, just so it's more generic. And then instead of having this as 3 lines, we can have it as 2. And then here we can probably put Roland on the second one. I don't want to leave that on its own in the bottom rung. Yeah, okay, I think that should be good. I just have to manipulate things a tiny bit. Okay, we can kind of squeeze this in a little bit. And we need to bump this back down to font size 10. Okay, why are you back to being left aligned? Okay, I think that should be good for that one. I feel like the first one that I drew is going to take me more to put together, so I think I'm going to draw that first. And what I'm thinking is that I can draw... Okay, here's what let's do. I will make a small marquee around this section on this layer here. And I'm going to... yeah, just make that a dark square. That is the same layer where the sketch is over, so I don't want to do that too immediately. There we go. Okay. I'm going to try and speed blitz this, because it's already been half an hour, and we only just have the composition together. We can also bump down the pen size to maybe 10 points. Yeah, that might be it. Okay, maybe instead of having the mouth like that. Yeah, I think having the mouth just kind of like lower down a little bit, I think that makes the irritated expression really come through. Okay. I also need to really emphasize her eyelashes, because I think that's a really vital part of her character. And maybe instead of having the eyebrow at like a 90-degree like that, she can just have it furrowed like this. I think also making the mouth just a little bit flatter would go a long way towards making it look like she's like grinding her teeth. rather than like, or actually, wait, that's a great idea. Or maybe no lines. Yeah, I think this one where it's more like wincing. We can bring this whole top part down a little bit too. I think that's going to help. And maybe we can switch the arms too, where instead of having the right arm be the one throwing it behind her, it can be the right one. I feel like that's a good call. Okay, and the hat is just going to trail behind her just a little bit. I don't know, is it the angle of the mouth? Something about this expression is still throwing me off. No, that's definitely not it. Okay, that seems a little better, though. I do think we should also maybe... I don't know. I think there might be a way to push this further in like this. Yeah, alright. No, I do think I might keep the right arm being the one that throws it. I also need to go look into one of my sketchbooks because I had an idea for this character design, but I think it's buried like way back in a couple of ones that I haven't touched in like ages. Or I think it might be the last one. I don't know. Hang on, let me double check that. Okay, that's not the last one that I was working on. Where did it... Fuck, which one was the last one? I might be in some trouble here. No, wait, I think I found it. Might still not be here, though. I remember this one distinctly because it was when I started looking up stuff about, like, glam rock. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I was very fascinated by, like, the idea of the glam rock aesthetic, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized how thematically rich it was. Not like the aesthetic itself, but like its context inside of the music industry. Very interesting stuff. Or actually, wait, what if I... would it be too much to make it look like the wanted posters are raining down from the sky? I think that might look interesting. And that way she can just be striding forward and looking annoyed instead of having to be doing anything with her hands. Yeah, I think that might be a good course of action. Okay, and that's gonna come in like this. All right, very nice. And I think having the sleeve float between panels would also be a good thing for just like the continuity, for making sure that the audience knows, okay, this is supposed to be the same scene split into two panels. She does have a very snazzy looking tie though, so I do want to include that. Okay. I think I also gave her a bunch of a bunch of wooden accessories, but I'm gonna be so for real. I'm not gonna think about those right now. I can do better on those belt buckles. Hang on. Okay, I'm also gonna decrease the size of this. Put the tie out a little bit further. I don't know what the right arm would be doing in this scenario, though. Okay, maybe just a quick little change of plans here. Okay, we gotta rework some parts here. Okay, we're gonna drape the coat over her arms like this. We're going to take this part out. There we go. Yeah, this feels like the right move. It produces a much more easy to read action, I think. Okay, that's gonna come down like this. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Okay, that's gonna go like this. Very good. I feel like I do unfortunately think the jacket would drape over the elbow, though. So I'm gonna try and draw it like that. Yeah, we can just add a little bit poking out from underneath the frame, and that way we can just fill that in when we have a chance. Okay. I do think it's really funny that all of my knowledge of like motorcycle helmet structures comes from like the Lego playsets that I had when I was 5 years old. I should probably look into those at some point if I'm going to draw more of these. Okay. No, wait, the stripe. She's supposed to have like a lion theme, but I think the. Yeah, no. Lions aren't the ones who have stripes. That's the other one. me. Me. Hmm. I'm trying to remember the name of this great animal from the savannah. Not the savannah, from the jungle. But I'm having a hard time remembering its name. What do you think, my good friend Sagat from Street Fighter? I don't know. I don't know much about Sagat. Is he like chill? Is he like cool to hang with? Because I feel I don't know. I don't know about calling him my friend, but like he seems like I feel like you would be able to have like some really good down to earth conversations with a Sagat. Yeah, no. I need to make her. Need to make her head like way smaller to avoid making it like look huge compared to the witch girl standing next to her. Okay, there we go. Okay. I think I wanted the fluff to be mightier than this. I'm also going to extend that a little bit. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I think that'll be good, but then... Yeah, I actually... To be honest, I changed which character this is going to be in the middle here, like midway through the drawing. So I don't know if the motion is like entirely appropriate, but it does look awkward enough to still fit her, so I think this is fine. Okay. Okay, this is going to come up like this. Okay. What kind of jacket should I give her? Because I feel like at this point she would be holding on to a jacket, but I'm not sure which one. Probably a denim jacket, I think, would probably suit her at this point. Her hands. Okay, so that would actually be... I think I might actually need to put her elbow up a little bit higher than where it currently is. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave putting the strap here on the drawing up until the last moment that I can, I think. God, I made myself some bomb-ass breakfast sandwiches on a whim last night, and I'm still kind of not over how great they turned out. It was an absolute game changer remembering that I have an oven now, so I can just bake like eggs whenever I want. I get myself like a packet of ham. I get myself like 8 or so eggs. I whisk those together with milk, and I threw them onto a baking sheet. And it, you know, I divided that and what the congealed mess after baking it in the oven into a sandwich. I was able to split it into 9. Okay, I was able to split it into 4 fairly even squares. I actually missed. The intention was to make it 9 squares. I missed, and it would look weird if I had cut it again, so I decided to make it into 4 squares, and they are somewhat hefty, but very fulfilling. Next, I'm going to throw some corn in there, too. Okay, her head needs to be a little bit smaller, too. Maybe not that small. Or actually, maybe, yeah, that's small. I don't know. How... It's about the same size as her head. You know what? I'll allow it. Okay, we're gonna put this around here. Okay, and then over here. Then we're gonna have this up here. And this kind of extending from down here. Perfect, I think. Yeah, the hand could stand to be a little bit bigger, actually. Let's beef up the side on that. I might leave the arm hair rendering to the to the coloring phase. Or I guess I'm planning on publishing these in grayscale. I could probably make the sleeve just a tiny bit more poofy and then make it so that it vanishes behind the hand like this. Okay. Now the back here needs to be straighter. It can't be. The pelvis can't be tilted like that when you're walking. Okay. And we're just gonna have a few different papers fluttering down from the skies here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Maybe we should just fill this in? No, not yet, not yet. We will, however, make a different layer for this next part. Ooh, actually, wait, maybe I can give her like a pulserita or something. Perfect. Okay, then the other part is gonna be... this... Hmm. Okay. Okay. We can work with this. Okay, then that's gonna connect to a wrist right here, and then we're gonna extend that to around here, and maybe to part of the blue of the jacket. Okay. Okay, the face that I have in mind is very pathetic looking. So maybe... Yeah, something like this a little bit. Okay, so I guess what kind of name would this be? Like, so... So name unknown. Alive. Oh yeah, I need the pulserita too. I don't know. I feel like pulsera has like a very specific connotation that bracelet or like wristband it doesn't really have. I kind of want to make. Have you ever read Kaiji? Have you ever seen that like effect that they have where like it's their entire face is made up of wiggles? Okay. And I do think that maybe having the eyes a little bit split would be would be probably be appropriate. I don't know. I do think that it is a very classic thing to do. The just like whenever your character has a wanted poster of themselves, or wherever wanted posters features heavily in your stories, like in One Piece, for example, to just have a bit to do with like the picture used for the wanted poster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So I do think it would be interesting to kind of have them react to their different wanted posters. I still think Enchanted did one of the best ones where they had the guy like be like, my nose isn't that big. It really wasn't that big, but I do think it should have been a little bit bigger. I still think it is hilarious. I don't know for a fact if it's true or not, but I do remember that one story that the way that they designed Flynn Rider was like that they got like input from every woman in the company who was heterosexual and was like, okay, what does your dream guy look like? And like they had like this idea in mind, obviously, but like they eventually came up with Flynn, and I think that's really beautiful. I don't know. There's something exciting about learning about somebody else's tastes in, human beings. Like what's your type as a question? It can be very loaded, but I do think it is in like a safe environment. It is a fun topic to explore. I do unfortunately think that like when like what is your type comes up, I do think we kind of run into that problem that you have during the holidays where you can think of maybe you have struggled to think of like what to give others, but more than that, you struggle about like what gifts you want. Like if somebody asks like, "What do you want for Christmas?" You just like have no idea how to answer. I feel like it's probably like one of those situations where if you probably have a vague idea of what your type is, and maybe like you play around with it in your mind a little bit. But I think if somebody asked you outright, I think it's tough to answer on the spot for most people. There are, of course, exceptions to this. But that's admirable in its own way, though. Okay, and then... Okay, we're gonna need to have her hair cascade down her back a little bit. Also, I think I could probably rotate this a little bit. There we go. Okay. Okay, so finish one comic or try to get the line art done for both of them. Okay, here's my idea. We're gonna change up the dialogue a little bit. Okay. All right, we'll switch up the dialogue here. And we'll use a contraction here. Okay, and we're gonna bold and italicize that one. Okay, I think I have the plan of action now. We will, however, need to finish up the speech bubbles here. So, ellipse, balloon pen. Okay. Okay, we're gonna curve this one around like this. All right, so that's a liner for this one done. Hmm. Okay. I kind of want to fix the lettering on some of these, but I think the more urgent issue... Yeah, okay. Here's what let's do. We're going to take the rest of these away. And what we're going to do is we're going to add color to these three over here. You know what? This works also. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the erase tool here. Nope. Let's try that again. Okay, we're going to try to use the fill bucket with the erase tool on here. That worked. Okay, we need a little bit of it back here. And we need a ton of it on the actual scabbard back here. Or I guess it's not really a scabbard, is it? I think this one's technically just a case. Okay. We're going to use these parts here. Can you believe that tomorrow's Friday? This week has felt very strange. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a... It feels like a very... It should be Tuesday kind of Thursday. Okay. I'm gonna remove this. This was supposed to be a hair clip, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. What color should I make the belt clips? I'm leaning towards like a brass, like an orangey brass. Okay, and then we're going to make the insides of the coat, or the parts that are supposed to be flowing behind her, a little bit darker. Oh, and that's supposed to be like the Lion Girl's pant leg. Okay, water posters should be slightly yellowed, I think, just as a rule of thumb. Maybe just a little bit more bleach than that, though. Yeah, like that. Okay, and then the mane can be kind of like a blondish color. Maybe like a darker red for the visor? I think that works okay. No, I think I'm going to go for the same kind of yellowish color here. I will also tone down a little bit of the redness in the visor. Oh, it's this part that's connecting them. I see. That's supposed to be a hand, so that's not going to be that color. Okay, and a sort of darkish blue for this part here. Whew, okay. The jean jacket can be a slightly lighter color, I think. That skin tone doesn't look quite right. You can leave a gap here and then make her shirt kind of like a pale blue color. And the jeans like a darker blue color. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this one into this layer here. And then we're going to put the second one into this layer here. And we're actually going to maybe push this one a little bit forward just so it looks like it aligns. Okay. We're going to put the one that's around... Wait, where is this? Oh, I see. Okay, we're going to put this one down here. We need like... I need to get like a backdrop of like a city or something. So hang on, we're going to unsplash real quick. Okay. Town alleyway? Town alley. I don't know. Come help me look for one of these guys. Hang on. There we go. This one actually looks kind of promising. Wait, did I post my go live notification? I did, okay. I feel like every time I remember that I have to post a go live notification manually, which, you know, that's the case from... Where is this? The ground looks really interesting. Busan, South Korea. How about that? Or hang on, what about side of building? I'll give you that. That is indeed the side of a building. How about street level? Ooh, this one's so pretty, but it's not really what I'm looking for. Street from side. Come on. Ooh, this one might do. Where's this one from? Free to use under the Unsplash license. Yes, but where is it from? You know what? Whatever. I'll take it. All right, where is it at? Huh? Did I not select it? Here we go. The cool thing about Unsplash pictures is that they're crazy stupidly big. Okay. Oh shoot, you know what I should do? I should probably give them a tint with the color gradient, and then... I don't know, this one seems good. We can also lower the contrast a little bit so it's a little bit more ethereal. Bump up the brightness a little bit. And then blur it just a tiny bit. And we can do something similar for this side. And that way we don't even have to change the color of the text. Today I am a genius. Okay. What we're gonna do is we're going to turn this one on. Stuff this in this last folder. And I think the idea here is... Wait, what? Okay, there we go. The idea here is we're going to fill in this section here, just so that we have a more limited, more manageable working space, I think. There we go. And we can just use the same colors from the other side. From the other panel, I mean. Okay. I think I need to cut down her neck on the back side there. Okay. Yeah, all right. Oh shoot, I forgot to draw her sword on the back there. Whoopsie. But that's easily fixed though, thankfully. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then in the background here, I'm going to add a gradient from kind of this color to this color. Just to kind of mimic, but not exactly replicate the background colors. I think that's going to be a good call. Also, I do realize that I've missed a couple spots there. I'll have to rectify that. It feels so claustrophobic when you're working in the panel layers, because I feel like normally it's a very free feeling when you're around here, but it feels a little tight otherwise. We also gotta go back here real quick and add this color to the paper. Okay, get rid of this, get rid of this. I also need to remember to add her arm hair. If I forget her arm hair, I'm never gonna forgive myself. Also, I gotta fix the text on here, jeez. It's kind of all over the place. Okay, I think what would be cute is decreasing the size of the text to be even smaller than usual. I don't know. There's not enough control points to make it like properly wobbly. That's the one gripe that I still have about Clip Studio Paint is that its control over the speech bubbles is kind of annoying sometimes. Adjust line width, scale down. Okay, never mind. This looks a little strange now. Here's what let's do. We can bump this up to a 9, so it's slightly smaller than the rest of the text, but it's still readable. And what the other thing we can do is we can also change the color on here, on what's on the wanted poster, to maybe like a darker brown, or even a light brown, honestly, could work given that the paper is yellow like this. To just kind of go like this. No, are we not cool with that? Are we not rocking with it? Maybe slightly lighter. That's... Oh, I see why it's doing that. It's because I'm using the subcolor. Okay. I love how our two big old peepers are just like swimming in this sea of control points. There we go. And what we can do as well is we can also add just a touch of watercolor just to really drive home that this is supposed to be her. Maybe on a layer on top, and then we can play around with its opacity. Maybe instead of watercolor, we can use the marker. Okay. God, this reminds me a little bit of a bit from, I think it was Romans of the Three Kingdoms, where they're looking for a guy. So the guy being someone who's quick on his feet to think, realizes, wait a minute, they know that I have a beard. I could just shave that. Wait, no, I think I think it escalates. So first it's like, we're looking for a guy with a cape, and he's like, oh shit, my cape. All right, that goes off. And then later on they're like, we're looking for a guy with a big old beard, and he's like, fuck, my beard. All right, that's gonna go too. And then finally they're like, we're looking for a guy who's been freshly shaved, and he's like, fuck. All right, I guess this is where it ends. Really good bit, honestly. Very, very Looney Tunes. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think that's all we're doing for today, honestly. I do think we did really good work here, but I don't think I can finish the second one and retain my sanity. So I'm gonna save my work. And I don't know if anybody else is streaming today, but Actually, let me double check just in case. I don't know. Maybe somebody's hanging and we can go say hi. I've been very shy to raid recently. I don't know why that is. I think like at the end of the day, I'm just kind of pooped. Yeah, I think it's gonna be another one of those days. Unfortunately, maybe one day I'll get my mojo back. One day I'll get my mojo back. In the meantime, everyone, take it easy. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.